Well, hello everyone. Patrick Ellis here, coming to you with our newest edition of the ECONversations with our economic development minds in Southwest Riverside County. So we have Rob Moran with the County of Riverside, Kimberly Davidson with the City of Wildomar, Scott Agajanian with the City of Murrieta, and the esteemed Mr. Grant Taylor with the City of Lake Elsinore. So thank you all for joining me again. It's a pleasure to do this on a regular basis. So the question that I had today had to do with site selectors. So we've been in the process of putting together our site selector website for Southwest Riverside County. It's where you can go to get all these e-conversations and see all the past ones that we've done. If you want to, it's SWRCED.com. But you know, there's only so much information you can put in a website for site selectors. We know that site selectors are sitting at home right now, doing all their research. We know that, you know, Economic Development 101, 80% of all site selection is done online on a computer before they take a step into any community that they're even kind of looking at. So, you know, we need to make sure that we have all that information out there, but demographics will only go so far. So my thought is, you know, to have a conversation around what is the story that you want to be told to a site selector specifically about your community or about the area. I think that that's, you know, really important because there's so much of the tale that needs to be told that's really hard to just put into numbers or words on a website. So I'll start with, how about Mr. Grant Taylor?
Batting leadoff and haven't really thought much about it. Hello, everybody. Yeah, the site selector, valuable tool, but like you said, Patrick, there's only so much you can get in there. I would try to find a way to depict how pro-development our city council is. They're starved for quality development. And I don't know how you quantify that in a site selector. I want to say that we streamline, we'll offer certainty in the process to get you to the finish line quickly. If you're an industrial business, we have a brine line. So there's an opportunity to connect to the brine line to help you with your saline, your industrial waste. How far you are from the lake, how many feet you'd have to go to get wet. Proximity to restaurants, hotels, the downtown, how far you are from the historic downtown. Probably things of those nature.
Okay, I think you hit on a really good one, which I think is something that all of the cities down here can definitely talk about, which is that that approach that the city council that you have together is extremely pro-business, which is very important, I think, in this regard. So
critical.
Kimberly.
Yes, sir.
What about Wildomar?
What about Wildomar? As far as what I would want site selectors to know that we can't put in a brochure or wouldn't be able to portray in a brochure?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. My computer just did something funky weird. Oh,
Tell them Wildomar rocks. That would be the first thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, duh. There's that. But, you know, well, and I guess we could put this into a brochure, but I guess maybe you wouldn't really get the color of it, is that we are a very small, agile team. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Wildomar. I had been recruited to Wildomar from a much larger city, and it kind of threw people off, I think, because they were like, why, you're supposed to keep going like to larger and larger cities. That's kind of the game plan. And I kind of went the other way and went to a much smaller city from a much larger city. And I did that on purpose because Wildomar is like a startup company. We're a startup city. We haven't been at this very long. We don't have a large team of people. Everybody wears a lot of hats, but that's what makes it really exciting. When we have developers or brokers come to City Hall, well, when they could come to City Hall in different times, you're meeting with the three people that pretty much make the decisions, right? I mean, unless something needs to go to council, of course, but you're meeting with the assistant city manager, the public works director, the planning director, and me. One of those people wear two hats, but you're meeting with the three people that can really make decisions right then and there. In some of the larger cities, they kind of play that used car game. I'm sure none of my cohorts on this panel would do that, but I've been privy to other larger cities that will play the used car game. Well, let me check with my boss and get back to you, that sort of thing, to kind of pass the buck along. We can't do that in Wildomar. Like, literally, we can't do that in Wildomar. And there's no, I spoke to someone in planning. Well, we have two people in planning, so it was either this guy or this guy. No one can hide, and everyone is very responsive. And that was one of the things, and just being part of a team being part of a small team to really build a city from the ground up. There's still so much to do in Wildomar, but really that would be something that I would struggle with, really conveying that message in a brochure, is what a small team we have, what a responsive team we have. The team really wants to see, there's, I wasn't there for it, but there's lots of folklore in the city of Wildomar that some of the employees that are still there worked without pay back in the day when they couldn't even get paid. We've been at this for 12 years. We incorporated right when the recession hit. And there were some times when things weren't going so well after the state took away redevelopment money and a lot of other avenues of revenue. And so there's a lot of rumor at the city of Wildomar that some of the employees that are still there today worked for free, came in on the weekends to get stuff done. And that's just that's what I fell in love with about Wildomar. Everyone there really just wants to roll up their sleeves and get it done. It's not about the pay. It's not about the office hours. It's not about, they just roll up their sleeves and get it done, because you have to when you're a smaller organization like we are.
Very good. So speaking of used car salesmen, so Scott,
I don't think we had to go so low here, people.
I was going to say, is Murrieta's then, instead of Murrieta Rocks, it's Murrieta Has Rocks?
I don't think we had to go low again here. I don't know why we're going this route. But to answer the actual question, I think the word utopian, paradise, wonderland gets thrown around way too often. And when you come to Murrieta, you've absolutely found it. I mean, this is the most perfect place on earth. I know Rob always tells me it's his favorite city in all of Riverside County, and I don't disagree. It's a spectacular place to be. If Goldilocks and the Three Bears were going around sleeping in different cities and looking for the perfect one, they would stop in Murrieta and say, we're going to set up shop here. This is the perfect city. It has got all of the wonderment of being a central city to all of Southern California and access to anywhere you want to go. It has two freeways converging in just the perfect spot with wonderful development plans for the future. It has everything that you want to see from available land and affordable land, and a team that wants to help you bring you in here, and a council that wants to approve your project, and a planning commission that has a great track record of getting things through the process. Everything here is just built on trying to help bring development in and help land businesses here. So outside of that, terrible place. But inside of that, all is good. And I just want to point out, we're very close to Lake Elsinore, which is a dream extreme, wonderful place in itself. Some place that I've always been proud to know and work with Mr. Grant Taylor, who is just a hero of mine, and I love that man. So, we've got proximity to Lake Elsinore. We've got proximity to Wildomar. We've got proximity.
You know what? Wildomar is closer to Lake Elsinore than Murrieta is.
Don't go taking credit for that. That could have went another direction, and you know it. So
that is a great way of putting something that there's no way to put onto a Site Selector website. You're so true.
Yes, I mean, we could put that on the Site Selector website if you like.
Yeah, no, I don't think that will end up happening.
Why should you come to Murrieta? Ask Goldilocks.
Ask Goldilocks.
Yes.
Perfect city.
Yeah. All right, Rob. So as the Wilson of the group, so give us the that overarching idea of, like, we're talking about Site Selector websites. You know this as well as anyone. What should we be looking at? What should we be doing? What are the things about Southwest Riverside County that are so unique that, set it aside from a lot of other places.
Well, after all that, especially the last speaker, that's a great. I'm glad you came up with this topic, because you're right. For site selection, most of the key data points and information is now available online. So, if you remember in the old days, they used to call you up and say, can you send me a map? Can you send me some basic demographic information? And that took up a fair amount of time, is just sharing, the stats of your area, to see if you, made it past the first cut. But that stuff, by the time they get to you, they've already screened out, on the major criteria, that they're looking for. And yeah, I think when you make that short list, or you're looking to make that short list, they're looking to find out, how quickly can we get our project through your permitting processes, especially when it's ground up development, it's raw development. That's pretty critical, because it can take a while to get through those entitlement and land use processes. And they want to know those intangibles that I think you heard some of the other folks already talk about. How supportive is your council going to be? Where am I going to run into resistance? How do I overcome it? Because certainty is a huge part of that site selection process. And what a lot of people don't realize is, when a business makes a decision to come to your area, the time, whether they're going to build from the ground up, or whether they're going to occupy a suite in a strip mall that's already built, that time is all essentially dead space, meaning that there's no revenue being generated. It's just money going out the door. And if it's raw land, that's a really long runway to get from raw dirt to the finished product, where the doors are open and they're selling whatever it is that they're selling, whether it's a retail business, manufacturing, logistics, whatever. And so, a lot of that's just want to know, how welcome are they going to be in their city? How are they going to be treated? They can get basic stats and data and information about labor force, but what kind of labor force do you have? Who am I hiring? Labor is the number one incentive or component of making a site selection decision. Do they have the right people to work there? So depending on what type of operation, they're going to they want to know the story of your community. And Southwest is unique because, if you're in Northwest, we've often talked about like higher paid white collar workers going into the LA and Orange County area predominantly. And to a degree that also is accurate from Southwest and other parts of the county, but there's a lot more also going south. And so maybe it's a, 6 to 1, half dozen of the other, but they kind of want to know the story of what people are doing, where they're going. So I think it's, a lot of it has to do with how soon, how quick can I get in there? And, what's the process going to be like? What entanglements am I going to get into, if there's any? Thank you, Will Smith. And, what's the story about your labor force? Can I hire the right kind of people? Am I going to be able to retain those types of folks? So those are a couple of things, but, it varies depending on, for example, if you're talking about manufacturing, a lot of folks want to know, okay, if I'm going to, what kind of skill set is going to be, are there a lot of mechanics in the area? A lot of folks that are used to building things. Well, in our county, we have a rich history of like the RV industry and other types of things. So you've got, sort of this ingrained sort of set of, manufacturing skill set. And that's changing, of course, and the types of manufacturing you're seeing is much more advanced than it used to be. But those are just some initial thoughts. It's really just telling the story beyond the data about what the processes are going to be like, what kind of people are they going to find, what's the community feel. And I think it's above and beyond just basic stats and data, because like we all said, you can find that online. I mean, any decent site selector's got that. But still having a good working knowledge of that data and providing it, because there's still a lot of people that request it nonetheless, because they want the most current data set. It might be cheaper and easier to get it from us than their own. But usually the big, the Cushman Wakefield and CBREs and those big firms have robust data and forecasting departments that they get a lot of their stuff from.
Great. And I think, one thing you said there that is very critical in us telling the story is that the labor force aspect of it, and us kind of telling the story of, we've got these incredible partnerships down here with Workforce Development Board and and Mount San Jacinto College, the different training programs that are in place, the CTE programs that are set up in our schools, our local school systems here, that all play right into that. And it's, I think, kind of really putting that together in a narrative that is understandable to, you know, site selectors, that we've got what they need when it comes to that labor force.
Yep.
Great. Any other thoughts around that? Or are we just gonna pick on Grant for the rest of the time?
That sounds like fun.
I think there's a special reason to pick on Grant for the
Yes,
rest
I
of the
do.
time.
I do too.
Grant, if I could gift you any kind of gift, I would pick out a thermos for you. And it wouldn't be an ordinary thermos. It would be an extra special thermos just for you. Because you've done such an amazing job in Lake Elsinore. I've always admired the work that you do.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
For everyone who's watching this, Grant, you might want to explain why Scott is saying that right now.
Well, we're using movie lines from a certain movie, and anyone watching this, if you tell us what movie it is, then you get a special prize. You get a free permit in the city of Murrieta
All permits are free in the city of Murrieta.
from Scott.
I was
From
going to
Scott
say
Agajanian.
you get your own customized Zoom background made by Kimberly Davidson.
Now that we could do. No
Take
problem.
one, but I tried using one of those the other day and my computer's too slow. So it has just the background and not me. So
Look at the boxes are gone though.
I think I need to upgrade. Yes, I'm making.
Rob, you've been putting the boxes away.
Rob, are you retiring?
I just moved it before.
Rob,
You
you,
know
gotta
what
get
Rob
a picture
did
on that
before-
wall.
Before he got on the call today, he just moved all the boxes out
Yeah,
of
there
our
you go.
view so
I
that
just
we
moved them out
think
of the
he
way.
put them all away.
You got to get a picture on that wall, Rob.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
What's the whiteboard say behind you?
Good luck, Grant Taylor, in his retirement and for his 33 years of service.
33 years. Today, he is 33 years old. That's a different movie.
Well, Grant,
Patrick, the wheels are off this one.
yeah, I know this is one of those fun ones. So, yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, you want me to add some more content just so I can blow off some steam?
Oh.
Or are we done?
Blow off.
How about
if
it?
you want to.
Do it.
No, I would just point out, because I know we all deal with this a lot in our different communities, is why don't I have, you know, this type of operation or that type of operation or this retail? It's usually a
Trader
retail.
Joe's. It's always Trader Joe's.
Trader
know.
Joe's,
Yeah.
Nordstrom's. No, that's not true because Corona had a Trader Joe's. So for Corona, it was Nordstrom's
Well, okay, if it's not Trader Joe's, I was going to say it's
or Whole Foods or Whole Foods.
Well, I think as far as Nordstrom's concerned, I think it's fair to say they're pretty much done in the inland region. So, you know, that one should be put to bed pretty quickly. Unfortunately, they closed in Riverside, they closed in Montclair. So I think they're, you know, a lot of these big folks are driving everybody to the major, you know, centers in Orange and LA County, because it's just, you know, you can order it online, get it through the warehouse that's in San Bernardino. And if you want to test out the product, you're going to have to go to the big store in LA or Orange, you know, for some of these retailers. But no, I think the only thing I want to point out was that, you know, site selection is different for every type of sector. And, you know, I think we've talked about retail before, and that retailers look for very specific things based on what it is that they're doing, the type of retailer, and, you know, where they want to be on which side of the street. So that's different for every site selection component is different or every site selection effort for different sectors is totally different. And so I think folks just want to share that folks that, you know, what a logistics operation is looking for is completely different than a manufacturer. And the site selectors that are out there are specialists typically in these different industry sectors. And so you'll get brokers that are really good at retail and they focus on that. You get guys that work on industrial, could be manufacturing and logistics. And so there's certain things they look for in data sets and information. Logistics, you know, office is different than those other two. So, you know, it isn't, again, one size fits all. It just depends on the type of sector, and they're looking for different things.
And what I find special about our area, since we're going to go back through the data piece again, is there really is no component where we don't check mark the box, right? Rob touched on workforce a little while ago, and then Patrick went off on an odd, strange non sequitur. And, but really when you look at workforce, we're a net exporter in the city of Murrieta of about 10,000 jobs every single day, right? There are plenty of workers that would love to turn that commute around and come back here. And Wildomar and Lake Elsinore and the county in general can all say the same thing. The opportunity to find the workforce that you're looking for right here is huge. And specifically when you get down to South Riverside County, the opportunity to find a higher skilled workforce is available as well. So you can really kind of run the gamut of different professions and work class. So from a workforce perspective, we have that. How are you doing, Miss Gina Gonzalez? Welcome.
And there's Gina. Hi, Gina.
Sorry, I was on a business call, but I'm good. Thank you. Keep going, Scotty.
So, and more than anything, we have tons of available land. Menifee would be a perfect example of this. If you want to go to a place that has, I think, 867 square miles of land, all available to develop right now, and it's all freeway frontage, and it's all perfectly flat. There's nowhere else that you could go that would find, look, when you talk about growth rates for a region, a lot of the people that I talk to these days want to know about growth rate and projected growth rates. They want to know how fast you're growing and how many more people that you're bringing in. Menifee and Lake Elsinore just are hugely important in those conversations because they're growing at such a fantastic pace, whereas Murrieta is growing at a couple of % per year, and you guys are growing, I think, at 190% per year, and 2% is really real for Murrieta. I don't know what your real growth rates are, but Wildomar, I think, is a little bit slower. I think you guys are a little more metered in your population growth and your rooftop growth. But every single aspect of this is it's a growing region. You're watching the incomes rise here. You're watching the jobs grow here. Every single piece of our region is going up in the right direction. And I'm saying this all sans COVID, right? This isn't a COVID conversation. Up until COVID, everything is heading in the right direction, and it's across the board. So with that, I'd love to know what Gina would have to say about the news that Grant Taylor is retiring this month.
Grant, you already know. I already sent you that email. That's left. I don't blame you one bit. I would retire too right now during this pandemic.
Made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to take it. That's a part that I'm going to have Heather cut out, aren't I?
What, the Godfather part?
But you know what? I already know. You're going to be catching some really good waves.
Big time. 33 years down, 18 days to go.
Oh my gosh.
I hope I don't make it into retirement and have something eat me out there.
What?
Well, it is Shark Week.
For you.
But this is your great chance, because if something bad happens, you can every single day go 18 days till retirement. I was 18 days.
What do you guys? What's the plan over there, Grant? You do everything.
Yeah, they got to backfill me. There's nobody left. I mean, I got 7 divisions and 18 people. There's only so much to go around. We'll be all right.
You have the best demeanor, though, for all that you do.
Thank you. No, I was fortunate. I got a good team. They know how to cover for me, make me look good.
Oh, well. So when's the party? Is there going to be a Zoom party that we can all go to?
Zoom party.
Don't know. I didn't want to be a distraction. I just told my team, and there was kind of an awkward silence and deer in the headlight look, like what? So.
If it's not clear to everyone, there's a lot of respect for Grant Taylor with this group. And I think as we talk about different reasons you want to work in this region and bring business and bring development to this region, it's because you have a group of people who all genuinely like each other. If we ever do compete, it's friendly competition. We really root for each other and really root for businesses to come into our area. And it's kind of the quality of experience. When you come into Lake Elsinore, you know that Grant's going to give you a quality experience. You know that you're going to have somebody who's going to back up what he says and be there for you throughout the process. And I think that's really all you can ask for, is somebody who's going to shoot it to you straight and give you the answers and make it a good experience while you go through the process.
The collaboration that we have in this area is like nowhere else, at least not in California, that I've ever experienced. It's just, it's amazing that all of the cities in Southwest Riverside get together and talk weekly, really. Yeah. Even before the pandemic hit. Now we're talking a little bit more often because we're trying to deal with new issues and new situations that we've not ever had to deal with before. Of course, everybody is, but the collaboration that we've always had here has always been, I kind of took it for granted. I knew that it was special. And then when I was able to leave here and kind of look back for a few years and realize in going to another part of the county, just realizing that the whole county doesn't necessarily, the whole county, Riverside County as a whole, and I'm not just saying this because Rob Moran is on our call, but the whole county as a whole has a lot of really great collaboration. It does. It's better than I think a lot of, in fact, I heard from other people in a county just west of us here that there's little to no collaboration. In fact, there are a lot of businesses that move because they don't get calls back from their city governments when they call them and that sort of thing. We have a lot of collaboration out here in Riverside County, but I think as great as Riverside County is as a whole, it's even better our little five city little neck of the woods down here with the collaboration. We really do talk very, very often, and we really do. And what's great is most of the cities aren't competing on a lot of things. We always compete on retail, but we're not competing in a lot of other ways. So we're able to pass that information back and forth and help each other out. And I just don't think you see that really anywhere else. That's a huge benefit for investors and site selectors looking to come here.
I would echo that comment, Kim, that because I do have the privilege of working throughout the county. And while other regions of the county communicate or collaborate on different projects, I would say this is probably the most cohesive group. And I think that the communities in this region beyond this group, and this includes electeds as well as city managers and whatnot, are probably as cohesive as I've ever seen it. And that hasn't always been the case. There's been times when cities have fought fiercely over things that are important, and it's not to say that there isn't disagreement, but yeah, I think you're right. This group is really unified. Everybody gets along really well, respects each other, and of course, there's always going to be friendly competition. But at the end of the day, if it goes into Murrieta or Wildomar or Menifee or whatever, French Valley and the county area, everybody down there wins.
Yeah,
and that's the key principle. So yeah, of course we want to compete, but it is sort of friendly competition. But if it goes in across the street, that's great for everybody.
if the region wins, we all win.
Yep.
And the collaboration's been second to none here. I've been in 5 cities, a county, the private sector, and if one city doesn't have what somebody precisely needs, one of the surrounding cities will. And we all work together and share, and makes the whole region better.
Yeah, I think these are all good reasons why we are Rob Moran's favorite region of Riverside County.
That's what I heard too.
Yep, I appreciate that.
I got that out of that as
You
well.
hear that? You hear that, Coachella? You hear that everywhere?
That's going to be the title of this ECONversations.
Hey, Grant, can you send over that job flyer?
That's right. You got it.
Heather's going to have a lot of editing on this one.
Is that something outside of Rob's window right now? I think it is. Heather will get to it.
Oh, God.
You guys have been great.
All right. Well, I want to thank y'all for joining us. Grant, I know we're going to hopefully have you for a few more weeks.
Yep, you will.
So
Like it or not.
we'll make sure that we're going to keep roasting you and teasing you and thanking you
All good.
through the next few weeks. So, but thank you everyone for joining us for another week's ECONversations with our economic development pros here in the Southwest Riverside County area.